Good afternoon, third graders. Today we're looking at lesson 1.5, which is on page 29, and it's called Use Properties to Add. I'll start right up here at the top. We're underneath the Connect section, and it says you have learned the commutative property of addition. You can add two or more numbers in any order and get the same sum. So if you look at the example, they took 16 plus 9, and they just switched the numbers around for 9 plus 16. That's the commutative property of addition. Today we're also going to look at the associative property of addition, right here. And that states that you can group addends in different ways and still get the same sum. Now addends are the numbers we add together. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. This is called the grouping property. So if we look, we can see they grouped 16 plus 7. The parentheses show us that they grouped that. Those parentheses right there. And on the other side, they grouped 7 plus 23. And they still add up and get the same answer, okay? So 16 plus 7 is 23, plus 23, that gets us 46. Over here, 7 plus 23 is 30, plus the 16, that is also 46. So the associative property of addition tells us that we can group the addends, and they show that with the parentheses. The commutative property tells us we can just switch them around. It's important to know the difference between the two. All right, let's look at unlock the problem. Mrs. Gomez sold 23 cucumbers, 38 tomatoes, and 42 peppers at the farmer's market. How many vegetables did she sell in all? We need to find 23 plus 38 plus 42. The first thing we always need to do, line them up by place value. You notice the ones digits are all in a line and the tens digits are all lined up. Make sure they're lined up. Once we have that, we can move over to step 2. Group the ones to make them easy to add. So here we looked at ways to make a group of 10. 8 plus 2 makes 10. I like to do that as well because then I can add my other number, 3, to it easily. 10 plus 3 is 13, right? 13. So when we write our numbers in our addition problem, the 3 is in the ones column right here, and so we put that in the ones column there. And we have 110, and it gets placed right up at the top. Then we can move over to step 3 and add our tens column. And here they made two groups of 5. 2 and 3 make a group of 5, and so do the 1 and the 4 make a group of 5. So they add those two groups of 5 up and get 10, and we can write that down there. So our final answer is 103. 23 plus 38 plus 42, 103. So Mrs. Gomez sold 103 vegetables in all. Once you have all that written down, you can go to the next page. You may need to pause the video if necessary. Okay, now we're on page 30. And we're going to solve a new problem, 36 plus 37 plus 51. This is a strategy that you can use. Not a lot of people use it because it can get a little confusing, but I'll at least introduce it. Step 1, same as step 1 in the first one. We need to line up our numbers by place value. And then we look at step 2. They're looking at two numbers. They can add easily 37 plus 51 equals 88. So then they're going to rewrite that problem. 36 gets placed here, and the 88 gets placed there, and then add that up. 6 plus 8 is 14, right? 14. So when I write that, my 4 ones come down here, 4 ones, and my 10 gets placed up here. Okay, now I can add my tens column. 8 tens plus 3 tens is 11 tens, plus one more 10 is 12 tens, and we get 124. So over here I need to make sure I write in my answer, 124. Okay, one more strategy here. We can use the commutative property of addition to change the order. So here they show us 11 plus 16 plus 19 plus 14, and when we look over here they switch the 19 and 16 around, and now the 19 is on top and 16 is on the bottom. They did that so they could make groups of 10. There's one group of 10, there's another. We have two groups of 10. They add up to 20. Okay, they add up to 20. So 20. We have 0 ones. That comes down here in my ones column. And the two 10s get placed right here. I'm going to switch colors so it's easier to see. Two 10s. Now I add up my 10s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10s. And we get 60 as our final answer. Okay. We can also use the associative property of addition to change the grouping. So before, it was 17 plus 33 plus 45, all right? And 33 and 45 were grouped together. We can use the associative property and change that grouping and group 17 and 33 together. They did that here, makes 50. Rewrite the problem, 50 plus 45, and we can add those up. That one's not very common, but you can use that strategy if it makes sense to you and it's easy. All right, let's look at share and show here quickly. It says find the sum, write the addition property you used. Okay, so here, step 1, they have 46 plus 55 plus 24. And now in step 2, they've moved 55 up here, so that means we have to move 46 here. We switched the two around. So what property is that when we switch the two around? Pause the video, write your answer, what property is it right there, and then when you've written it, you can restart the video and check your work. Okay, you should have paused the video, written down your answer. You should have here, I need to zoom in a little bit more, you should have written the commutative property of addition. Because they just switched the two numbers around, that's the commutative property. Let's look at the second one. All right, now here we still have 55 plus 46 plus 24, all right? But instead what they've done, they've decided to group the 46 and 24 together and add that first. So they're regrouping it. 46 plus 24 equals 70, which we can see that over here. So this is 70, all right? And then we could add our numbers up. 5 plus 0 is 5. Add up our tens column here. 5 plus 7 tens is 12 tens, 125. But here we need to write down what the property is that they used, right? And that's when they regrouped it up here. They regrouped it. So what property is that? Again, pause the video and then press play when you're ready to go again. All right, the property that they used here with the regrouping, that's called associative. Now, if you didn't have that, make sure you fix it. If you did have it, give yourself a little pat on the back. All right? So that does it for page 30. The next two problems are on page 31 for share and show, problem 2 and 3. Do those two problems on your own. After you solve them, find your sum, bring your answers to me, I'll check them, and if you're right, then you can move on to your independent assignment for the day. Okay, boys and girls, that does it for me. Good luck, and this is Mr. P. I am out.